On top of that, RNC chief strategist and communications director Sean Spicer says he has other Huma Abedin news to deliver right here, right now. Sean joins me. What do you got?
Good morning, Michael. First, I just want to comment that it's interesting that the secretary believes that the FBI should get all this information out. The only reason we're in this position we are in the first place is because Hillary Clinton chose to use a secret server and not abide by the regulations set forth by the United States government and the Department of State. So,
well, let me say to you, and pass it along to, Mr. Trump. I'm doing his bidding here for him because I just said that to the Vice President of the United States. And by the way, Sean, he agreed with me.
Right. But let's put this in context. Hillary Clinton initially said that she had turned over everything that was relevant. The only thing that she didn't were emails regarding yoga and Chelsea's wedding. We know that to be false. Further, when Huma Abedin left the State Department, as was required of all individuals, they have to file a form called OF 109. That form is a separation agreement that states simply that people understand when leaving government that they are maintaining no classified information. They understand that their legal obligation to protect further classified information and safeguard any potential disclosures of that. This is Form OF 109, signed by Huma Abedin in 2013. This is the form that she signed under penalty of law. So while we don't know entirely what's going on, we do know that Huma Abedin in August of 2013 signed a legal document with the United States government saying that she understood that it was her obligation to turn over all classified information and to further safeguard any further information that could be disclosed. So while we don't know the facts, while we don't know what's going on, we have continued to see a pattern that they tell us everything, that we know everything, that they've disclosed everything, and time again, we find out that that is not the case. That while they tell us that they've turned over everything, we find additional disclosures over and over and over again. And the big message that people have to understand during this final 10 days of the election is you haven't seen anything yet. For 30 years, we've seen these Clintons tell us one thing and play by rules for themselves. And we continue to see that with Hillary Clinton and her top aides.
Where did you get the document?
Through a Freedom of Information Act from the Department of State.
So, as I understand... go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was going to say, we've been requesting documents over and over again. This was in a batch of ones that we had found, and when we saw the disclosure from the FBI director that they were further looking into this, we went back and looked at the documents that she had gotten from the different aides and the different batches that the State Department had given us. And lo and behold, we find out that Huma Abedin in 2013 had signed this document saying that she understood that it had been her obligation at that time to turn over all information pertaining to her work at the Department of State. And regardless of what the situation is now, we know in 2015 she found further emails that she had not turned over. So again, this pattern continues that we keep finding out that what they said they did is not true.
Okay, what I hear you say is that she signed under a perjury of law threat, that she had nothing in her possession, and seemingly that has been contradicted. Let me be facetious. I have just decided I'm not going to vote for Huma or for Anthony Weiner. But what about Hillary? Because, again, like so much of this, it may be about the orbit, all this Podesta email business. But what does it say about her specifically?
Well, I think it says a lot. I mean, because it's not just Huma. I mean, it's Hillary as well. She's the one who told us at the beginning of this scandal that there was nothing more, that they had self-selected all the emails that turned them back over to the government, and nothing else had to do with her government work. It just had to do with yoga and Chelsea's wedding. We know when it comes to Hillary Clinton herself, that's not true. We see it with Podesta. We see it with Huma Abedin. They continue to tell us one thing and have a second set of rules for themselves. This pattern of obstruction, of lying, continues with the Clintons. And if you haven't, I mean, look, we've seen it for 30 years. The zebra's not going to change its stripes. This is what we could expect out of a Clinton presidency. One set of rules for them, one set for us, one pattern of telling us one thing, doing another. It's happened for 30 years. It's not going to change.
On the related, I think, subject of this Comey letter that was released yesterday, I want to underscore something because I've read it and seen it and heard it mischaracterized in the media. There's no reopening that has taken place of the Hillary Clinton investigation. What I glean from the Comey letter is that new information has come to the FBI and they feel obliged to take a look at it. What he's saying beyond that, I really don't know. I mean, the final paragraph, I'll put it up on the screen for you and everybody else to take a look at. The final paragraph says, although the FBI cannot yet assess whether or not this material may be significant, and I cannot predict how long it will take us to complete this additional work, I believe it is important to update your committees about our efforts in light of my previous testimony. It's such a shame because it puts voters in the dark. I asked the Vice President of the United States, the former head of the Senate Judiciary Committee, what does it mean? He doesn't know. I'm a lawyer. I don't know. You don't know.
Well, here, I know. You're absolutely right. I don't know. You don't know. No one else knows. But generally speaking, when you get a letter from the FBI saying that we have new information, it's not because they're trying to give you a medal. It's because that there's a problem or an investigation or something that's not right. You generally don't get letters from the FBI telling them that you won the Publishers Clearinghouse. That's just not how it works. So I don't think that getting a letter from the FBI in any way, shape, or form talking about new information is something that any campaign would look forward to. But the bigger point, Michael, is, again, this goes back to it's a pattern with the Clintons. This isn't the first time that we've heard about investigations with the Clintons. It's not the first time that we've heard about one set of rules and another. It's not a pattern of them telling us one thing and another. Excuse me, it is a pattern. Over and over again for 30 years, we've heard this from the Clintons, them telling us, nope, it didn't happen, and then we find out that it did. And if you do, and I think what is important for the American people and the American voters to understand is that this is what we can expect from the Clintons if they go back to the White House. It will be 4 more years of FBI investigations, of them telling the American people one thing and them doing another.
All right. Everybody is getting their say here today as we are 10 days out. The Vice President for Hillary Clinton, Sean Spicer, the Chief Strategist for the RNC. Thank you, Sean. I appreciate your being here.